Fried rice has always had a place in my life. If I were to think of a comfort food, I would probably say fried rice would be it. I've had it my entire life, and it was one of the first meals that I ended up learning how to cook. Vietnamese fried rice specifically has a large place in my life just because of my identity. I am Vietnamese, so growing up, that was the style of rice that I would have. There's so many different kinds of fried rice out there, but you don't really see a lot of Vietnamese fried rice. And so I always associate it with home and growing up. There's a specific way you can cook Vietnamese fried rice that differs a little bit from other styles where you use day-old rice that's necessary for every single kind of fried rice. Instead of frying the egg first, you mix the egg into that rice before cooking it. A lot of fried rices out there also use soy sauce, but in Vietnamese fried rice, I grew up using fish sauce. Since moving to college, Vietnamese fried rice was the first childhood dish that I learned how to make by myself. It's always served as a form of comfort since then because it's this easy dish that I can just whip up when I need to. I do stray from tradition since where I go to college doesn't have the resources as easily available for me, so I've learned how to kind of just evolve this recipe to suit my needs. Traditionally, I would have these lap suong, which is Chinese sausage and frozen veggies that you stir fry into the fried rice, and traditionally green onions, but unfortunately that's not readily available in some non-Asian supermarkets, especially in Paris. Normally back at home, or I guess back in SF where I go to college, I would just use whatever I had in my refrigerator as ingredients. The basis stayed the same. I would hold true to the recipe when it came to the day-old fried rice, mixing the egg into the rice before cooking it, and using fish sauce, but everything else would be what is available to me. I feel like it's a pretty good representation of how I grew up versus how I am now. In a way, the recipe has kind of evolved with me depending on the resources that I have on hand. And so it gives me kind of a form of comfort, but it also shows that I have kind of strayed away from what I was like when I was younger. I've given it my own identity just because these ingredients that I use, it's just whatever is there. Somehow I always kind of turn back to fried rice. I think I'm a little biased in the way that having made the same dish over and over again, but evolving that recipe, figuring out what you don't like, what you like, your preferences. I feel like cooking is it's a good example of just seeing how far you've grown and how much you've changed. It's a good way to acknowledge that it's okay to change and it's okay to find comfort in your past, even if you're just cherishing something as simple as fried rice.